Hi everybody, I'm Kay Comer and I'm in here with you trying to make my video. This is about my 8th or 9th try at this. I'm just having a terrible time. It's like trying to run a 3-ring circus trying to get this video made. I've been making the junk book journals. I call them junk books. Gosh, 20 or 30 years. I don't even remember how long, but I do it just to have always just done it before, just to give us gifts for birthdays, showers, just because, and I've made them for myself and our daughter. I just love to make them, and you can only collect so many junk book journals. But I found the junk journal websites or groups back in the fall, and I didn't realize it was such a big thing, and I posted a picture of one of my Kitchen Witch, Good Luck Kitchen Witch journals, and people had such a fit about it. I wanted to try to do it and just see what I could do with them and kind of get involved with the group. So my big problem is I jabber too much, and here I'm already jabbering, so let's just get going with it. Let's open up the book. This one I'm calling, this is number 1, and I'm calling it Thinking About Home. And no matter what our ages are, we have all have an old home place where we grew up, and hopefully we have fond memories of that time. I know I sure do. And I was born in 1946 and grew up in the 40s and 50s, and to me that's just, looking back on it, it was a storybook era. It was a storybook era when we were living it, and looking back on it, oh my goodness, if we could just live sometimes like that now. Everybody is so fast and so busy, and but let's just get going with it. I collect the old cutter quilts and just all kinds of things, buttons and old linens, and I've done that for just decades. So on the bottom I've got an old piece of cutter quilt. Everything is distressed. Everything is coffee dyed, baked in the oven. The papers are baked in the oven. I like it real distressed, real vintage, real grungy. I like everything that way. Our home is that way. You walk in the door, it's like walking into the 1950s over-foo-fooed with doilies and old quilts and stuff. But so we've got the cutter quilt, the crazy cloth, some Spanish moss, some old buttons, some old flowers, and I put some little pearls in there to kind of highlight the flowers. I love old barns and old cabins, so I put an old barn on the front of this, and I just love that image. I found it on Pinterest, and so we've got an old barn. Anything like that just sends me a step back in time, and I forgot to fasten that back when I did the video the last time, so we're going to set that aside just for a minute. On the inside cover, I love to write, and I've got a website, Holistic Health and Wellness, but I really like to write stories. I've studied holistic health and wellness for 41 years, but I love to write stories, and so there'll be a lot of individual or original writing in here, and then a lot of things that I just have collected over the years that I've just made copies and used. Within the pages of this book, a story will unfold of love and home and family and memories that never grow old, and it just goes on and on, like everything I do does. Put a lot of paper flowers, paper hearts, some old buttons. Every moment matters. This is a Jenny Miller envelope. I am obsessed with Jenny Miller's videos. She is so good, and it's just so calming just to listen to her talk. She's just one of the best. This says, sometimes good things fall apart, so better things can fall together. And that is so true. I love that. Love that. I can get it back in there. I'm out in my husband's workshop. I've had such a hard time. I set up out here to try to do it out here. So if you see any bugs flying around or anything, it's night, so we're liable to see anything here. Love life. Love that quote. This is just an old reading. We had riches. They say that times were tough back then, that money was very tight, but I remember my childhood, and I know that can't be right. Mom would cook our dinner, and Dad would come home at 5, and then it just tells the story of a family around the kitchen table, maybe back in the 40s or 50s, and how they had just a different connection back then. Everybody took time to have dinner together. They could, because Mom was home most of the time, and the kids were not in so many activities, and this just really threw me a step back in time. I just loved it. So you'll have a lot of things like that in here. Beautiful minds inspire others, and there's some old music paper in the background. This is just a paper bag like we had back in the 50s. We used to get penny candy in these little bags. But I still use them for church projects and just gift bag, little things to go in gift bags and this and that. And I just cut the top off of it, put some foo-foo on it, some lace and that. And let's see, this says, there is always, always, always something to be thankful for, and that is so true. You may not realize it, but what you do does make a difference, and that is true. Everything we do makes a difference, whether it's in a positive way or a negative way. This is a little piece of cardstock that I cut out of the into the shape of kind of a house. Put the little kid's silhouette on there. I love the little black silhouettes. This is a little charm that I buy them in Hobby Lobby, but I've been using them for just years and years. I make a lot of stuff and give it away just because I just love to do that. And I buy these a lot of times, put this little charm somewhere in the gift bag or on an item that I'm making or whatever. It says handmade with love. You get them at Hobby Lobby. Just several in a little packet, and I use the coupon. Okay, let's see. This is, it was clipped in here with the Kim Holtz clip. But I forgot to put it back after I did the video the last time trying to get it right. This is just a little insert, and it's just full of stories. There's 2 stories in here, original stories, and this is just a reading on the front, an old country church, piece of baby blanket that I just distressed, some buttons and some crazy cloth. Let's see what the back says. The back is just a reading, and I've used this reading in so many things, newsletters that I make and this and that. And it says, I'll always remember the good old days, and it's really putting it mild. You can bet your boots I'll never forget things that happened when I was a child, and I just love that. That kind of talks about memories around the old-time kitchen and the cannon and the cooking and how it brought everybody together. And it says attending a little church and baptizing down by the creek. It just kind of takes you back into that time period, and that's a good place to be. This is an original writing that I did. I do a daily journal 2 or 3 days a week on my personal Facebook page, and everybody's welcome there. But this is, I had done, it can just be anything, just stories or whatever, or a little health quips or whatever. I put a little pin up here. I'm having a little bit of trouble rusting the pins to my, the way I want them. I'll have to work at that. Some of them have done real well, some not. Here's some little rusty bells. This is just a story about how I grew up. I grew up in an environment kind of like the Waltons environment with Grandma and Grandpa, 2 aunts and 2 uncles, and Mom, Daddy, my 2 sisters, and me and my dog Fluffy. And it kind of takes you back to that era just to read that. There's 3 pages here, I believe, story. And I've just stamped the back. I'm just learning to stamp. There are no kits in these books. I didn't even know there were kits till I started following these groups. This is just stuff that I've always collected over the years, almost everything that I've used. I did buy 3 stamps, 3 punches, and some Tim Holtz ink, but I didn't even buy the little thing people are putting the ink on with. I'm just using a rolled up paper towel. So this one is called Some Things You Keep, and I've got a little pin there with some buttons on that. And this reading is going around Facebook and has been for years and years, and so I love that reading, and I put it on a couple of things, the original one. But I contacted the original writer of the first one and asked her if I could use it in this book, and she said go ahead, and if you want to put your own twist on it, go ahead, because she said that's what everybody else is doing. She said there's so many versions of my reading going around, I don't even know which one's mine anymore. She was so friendly. We talked a good little bit, and she was just very nice. So this is some things you keep. Back in the era that I grew up in, you didn't throw things away because you got tired of them or because they got a little bit worn or whatever. You just fixed it, repaired it, whatever, and went on. And that's what we do now. We're not spenders. We fix stuff and just keep moving. Precious memories, how they linger, how they ever flood my soul. Let's see if we can put that back real quick, in case I have to do number 10 video. And that does tuck in there good, but I'll do it in a minute. Okay. This is a little reading, Home. Home, you are a special place. You're where I wake and wash my face, brush my teeth and comb my hair, change my socks and my underwear, and it just goes on and on. I just love that. I love anything that even sounds like it was written, and that is out of an old book, so that is an old poem, and I love stuff like that. This looks like a pocket, but it's not. It's just glued down, and I just put the love on there. Love that word love. Some little paper hearts, buttons and foo-foo. This is a pocket, and this one starts out, what if I read you a story that started out once upon a time? Well, when I read that first line, that just pulled me right in, because that's the kind of thing that really draws me in. This is a little tuck that was in there. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. What great advice. We should do that every day, and we stay so busy. Sometimes the smallest step in the right direction ends up being the biggest step of your life. Tiptoe if you must, but take that step. And these are just a couple of paper hearts that I just cut out. Many people will recognize this little brown floral from Hobby Lobby. I just distressed it a little bit. And this is a heart made out of homemade paper. I love to make the homemade paper. I like to do anything from scratch when I can. I cook from scratch and everything. But it's just a little heart made out of homemade paper with some lace and buttons. And that. Let's set this aside for a second. And this is just a piece of quilt. I buy the cutter quilts, as I said. I just get them at junk stores and yard sales, whatever. So I put a little flap here, some lace here, some buttons underneath. It says, kindness, pass it on, home sweet home. This is another reading that says, love and time. Once upon a time, there was an island where all feelings lived, happiness, sadness, knowledge, and all the others, including love. And it's just a really, really neat reading. I love stuff like that and collect it. This is just a doily I put here to kind of foo-foo up the page. This is another little insert book. There will be several little insert books in this book. And this one is called Thinking About Home. I was trying to think what to do the first book on. I knew all the books would be like a step back in time or very vintage and grungy. And I wanted a theme. And I had this song on my mind at the time. I love this. It's an old gospel song. So I just called the whole thing Thinking About Home and the Old Home Place. It's covered in fabric, has some stamping on it, some crazy cloth, some buttons. On the inside, there's a reading, and this is the words to the song by Dottie, Rambo, The Good Old Days. Well, I like to talk about the good old days, and it thrills me, I confess, walking to church down a country road, about 4 or 5 miles, I guess. Folks got there early and stayed there late, and all through the night they prayed, while the little ones slept on the old church pews. Those were the good old days, and boy, they sure were. It just, oh my goodness. My daddy was a Baptist preacher, and so I am so drawn, and he had little country churches all through his 65 or so years of being a Baptist preacher. But I am so drawn to all the old country churches, the old country hymns, the old gospel music, Log Cabin. I love that. And this is the song, Thinking About Home, and it's an old gospel song. You hear it on the gate. There's a lot of you watch that program or used to. Okay. I want to set hearts yearning for innocent pleasures and simpler times. I love that quote. Big buttons. I love these buttons. You don't run into that kind very often, but I do love them. Spread love everywhere you go, and let no one ever come to you without leaving happier. What a great bit of advice, and that's by Mother Teresa. I put that in a lot of my newsletters and things. Here's this memories that I accidentally put in here twice. But it's a really good reading. I'm sorry I did that, but this has really been hard trying to get this. It's so much different making them that you are hoping you're going to be able to sell instead of just making them to give away and the people don't even know they're doing it. But that's there's stamping on the page, buttons, some old papers. This says the old home place and buttons down the side. Another little old reading, and this was out of another old book, so this is very old. It says, I know a little cottage where everything's just right. The windows bloom with tulips. At dusk, there's candlelight, and it just goes on. And that's just such a good reading. I love the older stuff, as I said. I'm really drawn to all of that, and I'm not drawn to anything flashy or fancy or expensive at all. It's just not me. Love grows best in little houses with fewer walls to separate. Well, I'll tell you where love grows best. It grows best in homes where people really take the time to connect, and they know the ins and outs of each other and the likes and dislikes, and they take time to talk, and really that's where love grows best. Home is a place we grow up wanting to leave and grow old wanting to go back to. Well, isn't that the truth? This is a reading by Paul Harvey, Dirt Roads, and I love this. I've used this in my newsletters many times. And it says what's mainly wrong with society today is that too many dirt roads have been paved, and that there's not a problem in America today, crimes or anything else, that wouldn't be solved if we didn't have more dirt roads. He says nobody would would walk 5 miles to shoot somebody like they just do that now. Oh my goodness, and isn't that the truth? Okay, let's see here. Let's take this stuff out and start with this one. This is some piece of cutter quilt. I just cut a heart shape out. Blessings every day. Distressed that heart really well. I love distressed. This is a crochet doily that I just cut in half and put a swag on it, some lace and some flowers. underneath some more foo-foo, layered foo-foo, some different papers and buttons. And this is what I call the Jenny Miller book. I love Jenny Miller's books. I'm so drawn to all of her, all of her things. She just has a style. I mean, oh my goodness, it's my style, but she is just a perfectionist at it. There's no place more delightful than home. We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. And then there's another fabric heart made out of a little, a thin piece of cutter quilt. An old clocks with numbers. I collect those, and I just love them. We've got them all over the house, 17, and it's not a problem except when the time changes and they all have to be changed. Another silhouette, love that. And just a little stamp. I'm trying to learn to do the stamping. I've never done any of that. I'm just learning for the junk book, so I'll have to get better at it, and I will. This is really just what I call foo-foo. It's just a foo-foo piece of paper with some fabric on the inside, some layered lace and crazy cloth and this and that. Lay that over there. This is a little fabric book. I've covered some paper and fabric and coffee dyed it. And this says family tree. There's love within our family tree and happiness abounds. Its roots are deeply planted in rich and fertile ground. And then I've layered some fabric and lace and different things over here. I love that, and I'll wrap that back up in just a little bit. I'm trying to talk fast because my problem is my videos are too long and I've had to do them over and over and over. I didn't realize I was such a jabberbox. Here's another fabric little book. It says, most importantly, love. Like it's the only thing you know how. At the end of the day, all this means nothing. This page, this means nothing. Where you're setting your degree, your job, your money, and it just goes on. And that's so true. Family and love and connections, and that's what really matters. At the end of the day, that's what really, really matters. Okay, this says, thinking about home, learn from yesterday, live today, and hope for tomorrow. Another old clock. We were rich in ways people of today can't even imagine, and isn't that the truth? People now look back on those days and they think we were poor, but really we had a whole lot more back then in more important ways than we do now. Everybody's just too rushed, and we don't take time for things that are really, really important. This is another Jenny Miller book, and it has an old cabin on the front. On the inside it says, may this home be a place of happiness, laughter, and health and safety and contentment. And it goes on and on and on. Another big old clock. I don't have a sewing machine, don't know how to sew. I've learned to do some hand stitching on some of these books and roll them in a way that, and then glue them to make edges. But I like the raggedy edges really well too, or more maybe than the finished look. Home Sweet Home. Okay, put that there. And this says, tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. I love that. That just goes on and on. It's just a really kind of slow down and savor the moment kind of reading. This is a Jenny Miller envelope out of newspaper. I've just put a little bird nest here, cut out a little bird out of some paper, put a stamp, doubled up some buttons on that one, as a matter of fact. When you love what you have everything you need. And that is so true. Everything I do will have the back done because I can't stand a back that is not done for myself. It just seems like it isn't finished if you don't have something on the back. So some things may just have a stamp, but there's something back there. Create your own sunshine. And then love. I love the word love. I have love all over the place. I mean, I'm telling you. Signs. I mean, if it's a sign at a yard sale with the word love on it, I bring it home and make it work for my decor. Okay, let's see. This is a bingo card, and I have no connection to bingo cards, but it seems like everybody's putting them in their books, and I thought, well, goodness, that must be in the Bible somewhere, and didn't want to go against the Bible, so I put it in my book. Let's see what this is. This says, I love to sit in silence beneath the shady trees and listen to the songs of birds and to the buzz of bees. And that's a real, real old reading. I just love that. Love letters. I don't know if love letters are that big of a thing nowadays. Kids seems like they just kind of connect and move in together, and I don't know, it's different. But this is love letters from leaves to the seasons. In wintertime, trees secretly write green love letters every night. Tiny messages curled up tight. And then it talks about how they do the other seasons. And I really like that. I love all this old stuff. This is another Jenny Miller kind of book, a paper covered with fabric, and it says, "Country roads take me home to a place I belong." Now see that safety pin distressed kind of pretty good. I wish I remembered how I did that batch, but I'll get it. And some old buttons, some layered on the front. This says summer and fall. Today it still is summer, tomorrow will be fall. Oh, I love that. I just love that. When every town was a Mayberry, isn't that the truth? I wish every town was like a Mayberry now. How much better off we would be. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, here's another little insert book. So I said there's quite a few in here. Thoughts and remembrances of days gone by. And this one is made out of homemade paper, and it's just really for your journaling needs, as Jenny would say. It's just, here's some prompts. A favorite memory from last year, a favorite memory from my childhood, my favorite toy as a child was, memory from my favorite pastime. Just all kind of things to jog your memory, to give you some ideas on what to put in here if you want to write anything in here. The pages, some of the pages, they're stamped or have some little something on them. So we'll put that down right there for right now, and let's see what's back here. Oopsie daisy. Okay, this says, we have this moment to hold in our hands and to touch as it slips through our fingers like sand. Yesterday's gone and tomorrow may never come, but we have this moment today. There's no place like home. Love and memories. And then some foo-foo and stamping. Let's see what this is. How to create happiness. The way to happiness: keep your heart free from hate, your mind from worry. Live simply. Expect little, give much. Fill your life with love. Scatter sunshine. Forget self, think of others. Do as you would be done by. And try this for a week and see what happens. Well, many people would say, well, that won't work. But yes, if you do it, it will work. Trust me, it will work. This is another old reading, The Old Home Place by Mary Walker Butler. And it says, I can see the crooked boards that line the outer walls, and I can smell the age-old scent. I hear the roosters call, and it just goes on and on and on. I can't tell you how, you can tell how much I love the old stuff. I'm so stuck back there. These are just some paper hearts. I just made some more paper hearts, put a button and some lace on that one. This one's made out of newspaper. I just cut the heart out and distressed the edges with some Tim Holtz ink. And let's see what we got here. Okay, now we are to the giving station. I love to give. I don't know what it is about me that makes me that way, but I love to give stuff, and I'm just almost obsessed with it. So I wanted to put a giving station in the book. This says the giving station. Here's a little tuck. It's made out of an envelope, but it's not to open in the front. The giving station, a heart, just for fun, to lift you up. Let's see, the smiley faces. I'm kind of known for smiley faces. I just leave them all over the place. Laughter is timeless. Imagination has no age. And dreams are forever. And let's see, I'm going to set these here for just a second. We'll start with the back. It's just a big old paper heart. I get these at Dollar Tree and just bake them and distress them. This is another little journal book, random thoughts. Just whatever you want to put in here. The pages are stamped. There's 2 or 3 different kinds of paper in here. Some homemade paper, some tissue paper that I've just distressed, and newspaper. So I'll put that back. These are 2 little books. This is my Encourager newsletter, but my real Encourager newsletter is about the size of a piece. It is the size of a piece of paper folded in half, like this right here. And I just fill it with good, clean belly laugh jokes and encouraging quotes. And then on the back, there's always what I call a wow story or a thought-provoking story. And I just put these all over the place, in the doctor's offices, in the grocery stores, laundromats. Nobody commissioned me to do that. I'm just an old church lady, and I just kind of do my thing, and everybody else just copes. Okay, this is just a paper heart, triple heart, made out of 3 or 4, 3 layers there, with some foo-foo and a stamp on the back. And this is a mood ring, and this has nothing to do with witchcraft. You know, I am a preacher's daughter after all, but I'm really drawn to I always have been. I've always put these on gift bags and just different things that I've given and done. It amazes me the way it turns colors. Now, one time when I did this, it turned lime green. Now it's kind of deep purple. So what does that mean? I'm stressed. Yes, I'm stressed after all these videos. I am stressed. Okay, let's see if this one's going to work. And this is a Happy Rock in a Jenny Miller envelope. I made out of a newspaper. Whoops. Whoopsie daisy. I'm getting in too big a hurry and getting fumbly. I buy these little plain rocks at Hobby Lobby, and I just put the dots and lines on them to make the little smile, and I've been doing this for decades. Oh my goodness. This says, give a happy rock to someone you care about. Watch them smile slowly but surely. The smile of the giver will fade from the happy rock as it is absorbed into the heart of the receiver. I got involved in the Yellow Ribbon campaign for Afghanistan several years ago, and so I wanted to send some stuff. I wanted to send these things, and I wanted to do the happy rocks and the encouragers and the big smiles that you're about to see. And so my husband and I sat on the floor one day and did 3,000, put packets together and sent them. He said, next time you want to get involved in something like this, please forget you know me. It was a fun day, but it was a tiring day. I found this quote, remembering back to when I was 10. It's a little reading, really, and I wanted to do something with it to put in the book. And it says to stand in front of a mirror and just look at yourself and think back when you were 10 years old. What were your likes in school? What was your favorite subject? What were your hobbies? Who was your best friend? Who was your favorite teacher? It's just, it was a real neat little reading, thought-provoking reading, so I wanted to do something with it, and so I'm putting it in the book as a little book, little one-page thingamajigger. We'll do this first. This is the smiles. I put these smiles all over the place. Not distressed, but I distressed them for this book. I just like to do it. You seeing a smile makes somebody smile. So it says if you find someone without a smile, just give them one of yours. This is a little pouch right here that I just made out of a doily, and I've got it loose because I've done this video so many times it's loose now, but I'll fasten it back up. I just stitched it down the sides and made little punches there to tie the ribbons in to hold it on. Throw kindness around like confetti. And these are little calendars that I give away in December, and I've done this for years and years, and I just make them, and I have refrigerator magnets on the back, and several things in here. You will have one for yourself and one to give away. That's why I'm calling it the giving station. One for you and one to give away. And then underneath here, whoops, let's see. We have some practice compassion, good housekeeping. See, I just did that for fun, just to be silly. I do that on a lot of my newsletters and stuff. Another little quilt heart that's cut out. These are two little angels. I like to make these angels and give them away. And this is just something that's easy to do when we're sitting watching TV at night. And they have a refrigerator magnet on the back, and it's just a neat little thing. Now, I've got that so loose I can't even work here. Let's see. I'll fasten that all back up, and it'll be just peachy when I'm done with it. This envelope is a surprise envelope. It isn't even filled yet, but I have several things I'm going to put in it. A few more readings, I think 6. Some are short and some are a little page maybe. And then some little surprises. Just if you make journals, I've got a few things in there just for you to kind of help you along the way or get you started or whatever. So that's just going to be filled and put in the thing in the box when it heads your way, whoever buys this book. Okay, let's see. And here is the back page. And this says, this thing is so fat, you have to tie it closed. It will not just lay flat anymore. I get overzealous with it. I got over rambunctious and got it way, way, way too full. Thinking about home. Isn't it wonderful to think back on days gone by of growing up in our own old home place, all those wonderful times around the family supper table and all the holidays doing this or that as a family, and it just goes on and on. Then I put my information down here, my name and town and the year. This is just a little thing that I put on everything I do. You are loved. It's just that kind of looks like me, goofy, fuzzy hair. It looks like I've been caught in a wind tunnel. But I put that on the bottom right hand corner back page of everything I do. So that's it. It's a wrap. Oh my goodness, I hope to goodness this one is short enough that I can get it posted. I love doing these. I've had a terrible time with the videos. surely I will get the hang of this sooner or later. Thank you for your patience. I've had so many people post to me privately and want to know when I was going to get one of these videos up, and I wasn't even sure myself. First I had to learn to do the camera, then I had to learn to get the videos down, and now we are still at 29 minutes. Oh my goodness, how do you do this? Okay, click to join anything. Follow me in any way you can. We'll have a link under here if anybody wants to buy the book. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your patience. Go out and make this one of the best days you've ever had. Have a grand and groovy, most fantabulous day. And thank you again. Love you all.